I suppose we'll have story time again. A long time ago, when the Earth was still very young, the Creator sought fit to take a tour of all he had made. He decided to journey from his great hub on the high hills, and he journeyed through the valleys and the plains. And while he was in the forest, he heard a great commotion. He journeyed further, and he exited out of the great pine trees, and he saw a vast clearing before him. And in the middle of that vast clearing was a great and beautiful human settlement. And the humans had sought fit for tonight, for it was very warm and the harvest was very plentiful. They sought to have a great party. And so the Creator sat at the tree line and he gazed upon the humans as they were singing and dancing, doing as he had created them to, and he decided to rest for a while. He rested so long that the great, beautiful midday had turned into dusk, and that dusk had turned into night, and the humans had all gone back into their homes, and the great bonfires had started to die out a little bit. And the Creator roused himself, he stood up on his feet, and he looked onto the trees, and he was stunned. For he did not notice that all of the birds of the world had assembled around where he was to also listen to the humans singing and dancing. And so he looked upon all the birds, and he thought to himself, and he decided to come up with a question. He asked the birds, "Birds, would you like to be able to sing and dance like the humans do?" And all of the birds announced, "Oh, please, yes, Creator, please, please, let us sing and dance like the humans. We're so jealous. They're so beautiful." And so the Creator agreed that he would come up with a way. He would come up with each individual song for a birds. And so he had left where the pine trees were, and he had started to journey back to his great hills and to his beautiful hut. And on his walk back, he began to think to himself, like, oh goodness, what have I gotten myself into? You know, there are a great deal of birds, and to give each of these birds their own song is a great and monumental task. But time does many things, and it gave the Creator much time to think. And 2 months passed. And then the Creator sought fit again to take a tour of the world. And he found again that same clearing. And again, the humans were singing and dancing. And again, he stayed with them until the midday had turned to dusk, and that dusk had turned to night. And he looked over to the birds, because he knew they would still be there, just as he was. And he said to the birds, "Birds, I've done it. I've come up with the song for each of you. But I will not grant them to you. You must work for them." And so he announced to all the great birds that were there. He brought down the eagles, he brought down the hawks and the falcons and the owls, and he told them all that there would be a great race, and that it was their duty to inform all the other birds of the world of what would happen. That they were all to come back to this great clearing and assemble themselves for the race, and that determining how the birds finished would be what song the Creator would gift them. And so all of the birds did as they were told. The eagles sailed up to the mountains, the falcons went into the other nearby towns, and the hawks went into the forest. And another week passed, and the birds had assembled like the Creator had told them to, and the Creator came out of the great pine trees, and he was again shocked by the multitudes of birds. For at first there were hundreds of thousands of birds, but now all of the millions of birds of the world had all assembled themselves at the pine forest. The great dark green pines had turned a very brown and beige color. There were millions, billions even of little eyes gazing back out at the humans. And the humans this time were so afraid they didn't even venture out of their huts, for they had never seen this many birds around them before. What on earth was going on? But the Creator, he came out of the woods, he raised his great mighty arms, and he announced to the birds, "Ready, set, and go." And like that, all of the great birds had taken off into the sky. But you see, even though the race had started on time, not all of the birds had shown up together at the same time in the morning. Some of the great birds had arrived early. You know, the pigeons and the robins had arrived on time. They come with the dusk. The chickens had come in cooing, and the great eagle had also arrived early. But Eagle was great and proud, for the Creator did give him a great strength and great and mighty wings and beautiful plumage. He decided to gloat to the other birds before the race had started. He began to parade himself in front of the other birds to show off his immaculate strength, to show off the beautiful wings that Creator had gave him. And he began to gloat. for he knew that he was the strongest bird there. Look how big I am. Look how mighty my wings are. Surely this strength will allow me to get first place, and the Creator will deem me fit to have the greatest song of all the birds. An eagle had gloated so long, in fact, that one of the birds who had overslept and in fact almost missed the start of the race had just shown up. This bird was Hermit Thrush. And Hermit Thrush was very clever. So while Eagle was gloating to all the other birds about his great and mighty strength, about how beautiful his tail feathers were, Hermit Thrush decided to play a great trick on the great Eagle. While Eagle was parading himself, peacocking around, Hermit Thrush hopped onto Eagle's back, and it nestled himself, his small, tiny body, in between Eagle's feathers. And so when the Creator had come out of the woods and announced the beginning of the race with ready, set, go, Hermit Thrush grabbed on to Eagle's feathers with his small little bird feet. And as Eagle shot up into the sky, Hermit Thrush was on his back. But again, as this was not just a race about strength, this was a journey of endurance. Some of the birds were very lazy indeed. And so birds who were not willing to fly very hard or fly very fast, they pulled out first. And so birds like Blue Jay were awarded a very short, very squawky song that fits their nature. For these are birds that are very lazy, and they find fit to bully smaller birds and to take from them their food. And so Creator gave them a strong song that would alert all the other birds to their nearby presence. And as the race continued, more and more birds dropped out. Next were the vultures and the pelicans, for while they could fly quite high, their stamina was lacking. They decided to descend back down from their great height and call it quits early. And so the Creator awarded them very strange and awkward songs that fit their very strange and awkward bodies and faces. But again, more and more birds dropped out, but not Eagle. Eagle soared as high as he could up into the clouds. And in time, Eagle's strength faded. He got so high up that he could touch the clouds, that he could see that thin veil between the blue sky and the blackness of space. And Eagle looked down back at all the other birds he had conquered, for there were no birds around him anymore. And he thought to himself, yeah, that really did show all the other birds how great I am. I think I'll call it quits. It's time for me to be awarded my great song from the Creator. And so Eagle started descending back to earth. But Hermit Thrush had seen Eagle turn around. And so Hermit Thrush jumped off of Eagle's back at that moment. And he began to flap his little wings, to kick his little legs as hard as he could. And he made it through that thin veil where the stratosphere was. He was high above the clouds. And he made it to space. And he saw before him a strange thing. There was a hole in the sky. And so Hermit Thrush flapped his little wings even harder, and he flew so high that he actually fell down on top of the clouds. He had actually found the whole Sky Woman had fallen through. And figuring this to himself, he was very confused at where he was now, for he was on top of the clouds, but a second ago the clouds were beneath him. And he heard singing off in the distance, just like the humans. And so he ventured towards the singing, and he found himself amongst the sky people, their body made of beautiful light. And their bonfires were not like what the humans would make. Our bonfires belched into the sky great plumes of black smoke and ash. But the sky people, their campfires made the very clouds themselves. And Hermit Thrush knew to hide himself, for he knew he was not where he was meant to be. He had journeyed to where the sky people were, and he was afraid of what they would do if they found him. And so he hid himself among the great clouds, and he waited a long time. He waited until the sky people left, for they had danced long and hard that day. They had sung themselves drunk. They had danced themselves to sleep. And when they had journeyed back to their village, Hermit Thrush knew it was his time to make his escape. He trotted back on his little feet back to the hole he had found, and he jumped back through to make his journey back to Earth. And as he was descending, he put his clever little mind to use, for he had stayed so long, he was able to memorize the beautiful songs of the sky people. And he began to sing them to himself. And they were so beautiful that he deemed these would be his song. But the journey back to Earth was very long, and this gave Hermit Thrush much time to think. And he began to make himself anxious, to stir himself up in a little frenzy. And he began to think to himself, what have I done, actually? I've cheated in the race, and the Creator will know this, for I'm coming so late. All of the other birds have been awarded their song. Surely the Creator will ask, where have I been? How did I get the song that I am singing now? And so as Hermit Thrush descended back into the world, he decided not to go to the clearing where the humans were, where all the other birds were now parading and peacocking themselves, showing off their great dances and many beautiful songs the Creator had given him. No, Hermit Thrush decided that he would go back into the dark pine trees and that he would hide himself, for he was very ashamed of what he had done. He journeyed back through the pine trees for a long time until he found the greatest, tallest one he could find. And he climbed to the top of that pine tree, and he nestled himself against the branches, and he began to sing his song. But Hermit Thrush did not know how beautiful the song was that he had taken. And the song journeyed long, and it journeyed loud. It journeyed out of the pine trees, it echoed through the forest, and it's made its way to the clearing, and it stunned the other birds. They became quiet. They had never heard something so beautiful before. They did not know that this was the song Hermit Thrush had taken from the sky people. But Hermit Thrush did not know one thing very important, that the Creator was actually very kind, very gentle, and very forgiving, and that if he had asked and begged Creator for his forgiveness, surely the Creator would have allowed him to keep the song of the sky people. And so Hermit Thrush, even to this day, hides himself away in the great pine trees, singing that beautiful song. And it is up to us to journey around to find him, for he hides himself still in his small shame, afraid to face the Creator and ask for his forgiveness. And this is how the birds got their songs.